Greetings and welcome to Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson.
And I got something echoing over here. Let me kill that. Okay. That's because I was just watching Reggie and Greg's show and they had a bunch of tabs open. So how the hell are you guys? How you doing tonight, Kristen? Uh-oh. That echo is on my side. Is it gone now?
Is it? I thought it was on mine.
It might have been on mine. How's it sound now, baby? Uh-oh. I think we're having a couple of issues. Maybe try unplugging that mic and running it without. Take it out and bring it back. We're doing things a little different tonight. Chris and I logistically could not get together tonight, so we're kind of in separate places. And pardon us for that. There might be some technical difficulties. Go with it. Let me see what's going on here with the comments. Hello. I know I was just talking to you guys on the Perfectly Normal Paranormal Communication Show. What's shaking? Linda, Judd, Carol Garcia, Scott Horn. What's happening, buddy? Anne-Marie Young, Para Family. How you doing? Hey! We'll get this worked out momentarily. Let's see. Are we doing any better? How are we doing? Did that help? No, I can't hear you. Bear with us. We have an amazing show coming up. You're gonna love who we're talking to. If you're into ITC, you're gonna learn a lot about it. And he has a free app. I'm gonna let Kristen work on that a little bit. Again, I apologize. We don't usually do things this way. So anyways, he's got a free app. You can get it on Android, you can get it on iPhone. He's a really cool guy, and we were just talking backstage, and I like it already, and you guys are gonna like this. So let me see if we can get this together. All right, how we doing? Going back to the headset? That sounds better.
Okay.
All right. No, you sound
Can you
fine
hear me?
now. I sure can. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So that's because I had all
You
the
wouldn't
pages
think we did
open.
this
We have
every
never
week.
done this before.
Well, we haven't done it in this fashion, at least not in quite some time. So
I am going to have to keep the comments on my phone.
okay, that's fine. All righty.
Better?
So that sounds, yeah, it sounds a lot better. Sorry about the technical.
Are we better?
We're better. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Wow.
Nope, I don't think you can. You can't hear me, right?
There's no audio. Christopher.
Okay, it's on your side. Your side. I'm gonna pull you out. Figure it out. I hate to do this. Hey, let me send her a message here. I know you guys are chomping at the bit. I am so sorry. Stay with us. We got this. All right. Still nothing?
I've got it.
Okay. All right. Great. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Are we better?
Is that going? You can't have the volume up on the. That's why the mic exists.
Got it. Sorry to our guest, Joshua.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, come on. It's my first time here.
Let's bring him on. Sorry, everyone. We'll get through this. Joshua Lewis is our guest, and he's going to share his research and discuss how he uses a combination of intuitive abilities and the latest technologies within ITC available to capture evidence of the afterlife and communicate with spirits. So let's bring him right on. Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Welcome.
I'm
Sorry about
here.
the rough
No,
start.
I get it. I believe
We
me.
don't usually do it this way. We're usually together here in this
Yeah,
studio. Tonight we're not, and of course everything's going to go haywire at the last minute because that's
Of
how we
course.
roll.
that's how it goes, man.
That's how it goes. But how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Happy to be
I
here.
am.
Grateful that we
Happy New Year.
share.
I'm
Yep.
really psyched. I mentioned in the intro there somewhere that you have a free app, and it is really effing cool.
Thank
I have
you.
it on my iPhone, but it's available for Android as well.
Right.
And I guess we'll lead off with that and how you came about doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
Tell us your story.
I've been doing this since about 2013, beginning of 13, maybe end of 2012, and so it's been almost it's been a decade, over a decade now, and I started doing just investigations and things, just kind of bumbling with the PSB-7 and a voice recorder with my partner Nikki, and we would go to cemeteries and different abandoned places, and eventually, after picking up some really amazing evidence of EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, and other types of evidence that we captured out there doing these things, we started doing some cases, residential cases and things. And it just kind of grew, and we started working with a medium that was, I didn't really work with mediums before. I really didn't know what to think about as far as intuitive stuff goes. And I started kind of testing this woman, as being a skeptic in some way of intuitive ability. I believed it was real, but I also kind of didn't. I knew that there were people that fake things and stuff. So anyway, I would try, and I'd ask her questions, and she was right. A lot of times she was right, and she'd have a lot of information that was, just very personal and accurate. And what we found is that after working with this woman for a little bit, Nikki and myself started to feel an intuitive ability within us. We were told we were going to get it, but I was kind of in, again, disbelief of that. And a couple of months after kind of becoming aware of this, that this was happening, we were picking up things when we were out there, picking up things about other people when we were around them. It started to really, kind of click. And then,
Right.
we started working with some, doing test readings and things like that. I worked with a woman named Deborah Lynn Katz, who was an amazing teacher.
Oh yeah, we know
know
Deborah.
Deborah
She's
Lynn.
been on our
Right.
show a few times.
Yep.
And I just wanted to comment. It's kind of like a left brain, right brain thing, where you have this kind of intuitive self, and then you have this logical self, and like sometimes things don't make sense, right? And
Yeah, a lot of times I'm
the
like
logical part.
I'm like the skeptic psychic or something, because the fact is that after working with her, I mean, it was really interesting when she was taking me through her private lessons. And I mean, I really went through her level 1, 2, and 3, and I really worked with her. Excuse me. I worked with her extensively.
No worries, take your
But
time.
thanks.
We're off to a rough start, so
No, it's okay.
worries,
My
brother.
bad.
One of the first things that she did was she said, "Okay, I'm going to give you a name. I'm going to give you a name, and I'm not going to tell you if they're alive, if they're dead, or what. I'm just going to say the name, the first name only, and you just sit there and you just be patient and you tune into it and you connect and you see and you just say all the things you get." And it's a cold reading. It's a cold thing, like the way the process is cold. I mean, you're getting nothing from, and you're getting no feedback from whatever you're saying. So it's like for 30 minutes or so, 20 minutes, you got to just give information of what you're getting. And you could be giving a lot of random things. So she gives me this name. She says, Manny. And I start, I go, yeah, he seems young. He seems like a young guy. He looks like he's got an ethnicity. I don't know what it is. It looks like he's mixed. I said, I see him in the desert. I see a desert. I see a quad, like he's riding a quad. I'm then seeing a sombrero. And then I'm seeing a guitar. And I'm seeing him, I talk about it in the book. I said, I see him smoking a joint. And I'm like naming all these things, and it's so random. A lot of the stuff that I'm getting, it doesn't make sense. Right.
Right.
And
You're
I don't
not
know if
supposed to
I'm
make sense of it, really.
right.
You're
And
supposed to
I'm just getting what I'm getting and I'm reporting it, and
be the
so
receiver.
right. And at the end of the 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was, she goes, okay. She's like, you got a lot of stuff. I wrote it all down. She's like, let's go over it. And I was like, okay. And she goes, Manny is my son, she says. And I go, oh, shoot. She goes, we live in the desert. He rides his quad throughout the desert all the time. We're always, watching him ride this, he has this big sombrero that hangs on his wall in his room. And he sits on his bed and he plays his guitar all the time. And he is mixed. He's, she's like, she's white. And then her ex was, Filipino. So he's mixed. And she's like, and I don't know if he's smoking a joint yet, but maybe. And she's like, he's a good kid, so I'm not too concerned about it, And I felt bad for like ratting him out.
Oh, yeah, no, it's all right.
But that was a really,
sure.
That was an
We don't
amazing.
mind that stuff.
Right. No, I know. But I'm saying like, I think he was 17 or 16 at the time or something.
Right. Right.
But anyway, but that was a really amazing thing. That showed me that, hey, I can really get a lot of information if I, believe and go with it and have fun with it. And just, so that really, and I started doing readings for her because I got really good at what I was doing. And I, like to think I still am. To date now, I've done over 3,000 paid readings.
Wow.
Without boxes or anything like that. That's just my mediumship and psychic ability. I've done a lot of readings for people, but all the while doing that, I'm working on my intuitive ability. I'm working at ITC, which is instrumental transcommunication, using different equipment, different devices to communicate with another dimension, pretty much what it says. And what I've done is I've just continued to watch different people within sources that I believe I could trust at the time, or I'd watch and I'd read, watch the Skull Experiment and different people that have done ITC. I mean, it started with guys like Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla and Frederick Jurgensen and Konstantin Radovow, and of course you have the Godfather.
The Skull Experiment. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no.
For our audience who might not know what that is.
The Skull Experiment. So the Skull Experiment was a group of psychics, of trained mediums, a couple of other scientists, a number of different people that came in to watch in a controlled environment. These intuitives connect with a team of souls on the other side. And there were a lot of well-known souls that were coming in, believed to be coming in during those experiments. And a lot of them were done in a control room where someone would watch and control things they were using. They were taking undeveloped, brand new rolls of Kodak film and putting them in the middle of the room on a table and having spirit manipulate the untampered package of film and placing images on that film. And so then someone would come in, open up the film, an expert, someone that watched everything and would develop the film. And there, sure enough, were images of faces and signatures that matched. They brought in handwriting experts to validate signatures of people like Thomas Edison and other well-known people, and not to mention some of the communications where there was disembodied voices that were captured in the room that were speaking as if you and I were speaking, and there was no one there other than the trained mediums that were sitting in the power, which is what they were doing. And so it's an amazing experiment. Some have tried to refute it because a lot of that work was done in a dark environment. They said that it needed to be done in a dark environment because light can kill some of the phenomenon that's happening. And that is, the problem with that is that there's a lot of there's a lot of fakes out there. There's a lot of these physical mediums that will sit, during seances with paid people, and they'll do some of this trance channeling and other kinds of things. They'll have the trumpet. They've heard of this trumpet, which is like this, the trumpet's going to move. It's like this device they bring into the room. And it's a lot of like old 1800 type spiritualist type stuff.
The Fox sisters come to mind right away.
Yeah.
The what now?
The Fox sisters.
Okay. Yes. I remember hearing about that. Right. Okay. Yeah. There's a lot
kind of a big to do in the spiritualist movement, and then they were kind of debunked.
Right. They were
At least they went to the point where they started doing things that maybe weren't real.
Well, I talk about it in my book. I actually, I capture some amazing stuff. Okay. And so if people roll up on my channel or they check out a video of mine, there's two responses that I get. Holy cow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, or holy cow, what a fake this guy is. And I understand that skepticism, believe me, because I have that left brain too that makes me want to, you know what I'm saying? It's a logic.
Debunk and right.
Yeah. So I understand that. I do. But everything I do is 100% real. Anyone that ever fakes any of this type of stuff, I feel is evil. I feel it's a horrible, horrible person. I'm sorry, but that's the reality of it.
We agree with you.
Yeah. And well, I know. But it's just, and I, it's hard enough to show this work to people. And then there's fakes out there, and I could name a few, and I'm not going to do it on here, but I've been very open about who I know is manipulating things and doing things and stuff.
Right.
But there was a spiritualist, there was a medium that I worked with. He was like a minister at a spiritualist church, and he was this young guy. And I watched him in gallery readings. He was amazing. I was like, holy cow. And, being at the time, a new intuitive, training with Deborah and doing these beginning readings and stuff, doing my ITC, I was interested. And I started kind of like, he had a lot of information. He had a lot of really good, like real information from books and things. You know what I'm saying? So he was like very knowledgeable, and he was very good at what he did. And so I paid him for a few sessions to not give me a reading, but to kind of train me in and so we did a lot of talking and kind of one-on-one and stuff. And then one night he was, we went to the church. It was late. It was just him and I, and we were sitting in this kind of semi-dark room, and he was going to teach me about another level of physical mediumship. And he says, Josh, I really want to talk to you. And I said, what is it? And he goes, I got to tell you something. He goes, I needed to know I could trust you. And I've been working with you now for this, a few sessions. And I really like you a lot. And, he really confided in me, like he was taking a major chance in what he was about to do. And he says, I want you to know that, I am a real medium and I'm a real psychic, but, I look people up sometimes, and I do this and I do that. And I went, you do what? And he goes, I have information on people that I do connect with them, but I have a little information that I have that I can throw in to help really kind of make it better, And I said, and I was really enraged, because I spent my money and time, and I was really let down. Like it was a big blow, but I just kept my composure, and I said, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is fake. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm going to let some of the parishioners know that kind of turned me on to you. I said, I'm going to at least warn them and let them know. And whatever happens with that, it happens with that. And I'm very sorry. I wish you well. I hope you find your way, man. And that was that. And I left. And
about that, you just said it. Hey,
the what now?
I like how you were upfront about that, and you're just
yeah.
the bag.
And I left, I was in the car and I was driving home, and I was mad, and I was like, God, why would you let me work with this guy? I was like mad at God, and I heard this, I felt this intuitive voice, and he said, I needed you to see what that was. I needed you to experience that. I needed you to make a choice, he said. And I really as mad as I was, I got some kind of peace and understanding about it right away. And, the church is closed now, and he's been shut down and moved. God knows where he is now. But, there's people on YouTube right now. There's a popular guy that I'm not going to name a name, but there's a popular guy with about 340,000 subscribers.
I think I know who you're talking about.
I think we know who you're talking about.
And he's got a box that kind of looks like my box, my little physical.
I'm not going to huff and puff about it. But
no, actually, no. I know what you mean, but no. This is something else. This is a guy.
Something?
Yeah, there's a guy that's got about, and he doesn't show his face, and he has a box, and he just has it there, and he asks for, well-known people and stuff, and I do that a lot too, and I ask for well-known people, and I think it's an amazing thing what I get to do, but. This person I outed as a fake. And so he's faking sessions, and he's doing, and it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to watch. And so, anyway, I'm not getting going all the way down.
When you're talking about somebody who just died, right? So I'm sure if I go on YouTube right now and put in a search for Priscilla Presley.
Or you mean
Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie.
Right.
Lisa Marie.
I'm sorry, not Priscilla.
Sorry.
Jeff Beck.
It's going to come back with a bunch of hits, right? And I don't like. I like let the dead rest.
Well, I'm gonna, and I respect that. I'm also gonna. I'm not gonna.
It's like the hype,
This is the thing. This is the thing that I do. I do a lot of private sessions for people. I do client sessions all throughout the week. I do group sessions for my patrons that they ask for loved ones, and these group sessions I do monthly. And so. But, a lot of the subscribers that are on my channel, they want to hear from well-known people. They ask for that. And so when I post my amazing sessions from, someone's loved one, some of the most mind-blowing stuff that I've posted has been about just regular folk, just regular people that, what I'm saying? And it's a beautiful connection. And clearly I understand that those videos don't get seen as much. But, a lot of people do request, and I like to give a good, a week or so, period or whatever it is. And I like to take my time and ask for, but I try to fill those requests. And I have some of the greatest sessions that I've ever done are with well-known people. And and so I understand people's trepidation. There's a lot of I do understand. You mentioned kind of indirectly someone that, he posted a session of someone that died 2 hours after they died. So that's a terrible thing to have happen. That makes no sense.
Like the spirit has enough time to even
process
what is happening.
Right. No, I understand that.
I communicate with it, and I think that's like too fast. It's not that I'm against or we're against like any kind of celebrity spirit box thing or whatever.
Give it a week, or give it some time. I understand what you're saying, and I'm with you on that. I get that. I've posted, sooner at times, but I've really, I like to take my time. I like to ask for these people over 2 or 3 sessions, normally 2 or 3 days. So and it takes time to really review and understand exactly what is being said. So I have to really take time to review, but I just, some of the best work that I ever did. I'm going to tell you right now, Gabby Petito was missing, and that was a big to-do because a lot of people were, a lot of other types of psychics and people were all trying to figure out where Gabby was and what was going on with that. Mm-hmm. And I had gotten a lot of requests on it, and I wasn't going to do anything. And then on like May 18th, I think it was, 21 or whatever, I forgot exactly the date, but I turned on my app, my free app, and I recorded on the camera, and I started asking questions, but I started tuning into her, or to what happened is what I was doing. I didn't know if she was, no body had been found. And I got a story. What I got that day was exactly what was written in Brian's diary found months later. The story was exact almost. And people have commented since and go, everything you said back then was exactly what this person wrote in their diary. So, but after that, the next day her body was found. It was May 23rd or something. And so her body was found, and then I started to ask for her. And she said, let me rephrase that. What came through the box because there's no way to prove that we are exactly speaking with these people. Let me
Right.
preface that, okay?
Mhm.
I don't care if it's a loved one, a well-known person, or whatever. There is, unless they're giving you their driver's license through the spirit box or something, some other way to really prove it's them. There is no way, unless they're really able to answer some very specific things that only they would know. But the responses that came through were that, Brian did it. A couple of days after that, Brian was dead. I mean, he wasn't found dead until months
weeks later.
She said that that he did it with
That
a
was
paddle,
cool.
and that she was hit in the head, and that was not in the original autopsy release. The original autopsy release was that she died by strangulation. Right.
Yep.
But then months later, the full autopsy was released, and they said blunt force trauma to the head and strangulation. So everything that she said, she gave us 5 or 6 different things that came through that were before the authorities released it. So there was a lot of amazing work that was done in that case. So,
that's great.
So, I mean,
I'm
there's
sorry,
things like
Josh,
that.
I want to just clarify something. When we're talking about a missing persons case, especially Gabby, of course, try to reach out to that spirit.
Well, there was a lot of fallout from that.
There
I
are
should
so
say.
many remote viewers out there that are trying to do that kind of work, including Dr. Deborah Lynn Katz.
No,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
You want to come up with those answers and help guide the authorities to where the body might be, or what happened to them, or
it was the greatest. It was the greatest thing ever.
The audience, I know he's done some of that work. It's a great cast. Carol out there. Hey guys, that's really good work, and that's very different than trying to exploit the celebrity aspect of an immediate passing.
But you know what, though, the argument is, and I understand it could be made, is that was dominating the news at the time. So clearly those videos were going to be seen more. And
but she was a missing person.
And someone could argue and say, well, they're just doing this for clout. And maybe others were. I don't know. I will say this. Everything I do, I put my heart into. I'm nothing but respectful. I show love. If anyone watches these sessions, they'll know that. They'll feel that, okay? And that, I'm just trying to, I want people to see this. I want people to see this work. It's not for views and for clicks and all that, but it's to show people more and more. That's why I released the app for free. I want people to try it for free. I want people to try what I'm doing, and I will show you for free how to do what I'm doing and use what I'm using. This isn't some proprietary blend that only I can have, and I'm the only one, and you have to come through me.
Let's talk about that a little bit. The free app, because people are asking in the audience. I didn't put up all the comments about the app, and I've got it here. It's called HSB-1, and it's available for iOS, meaning if you have an Apple phone, and Android if you have an Android-based phone. And it is completely free. And what's really cool is when you launch this, it shows you a video of how to use it. Like, you have that ability, you can just click it. You don't have to click it, but you can watch the video. Shows you how to use the app. There's all kinds of good information there, and then you can just start doing it.
Right. So when you open the app, okay, so you can download it. Like I said, H.O.P.E Spirit Box, iOS or Android. It's free. There's a pro version coming out that is only meant for desktop and laptop tablets. So it's not going to be available on the phone. It is strictly for the computers, and because it's a big program, and it's an online program. It's like an online suite. But anyway, that's another story. I'll go into that later. But if you download the app and you open it, you'll have an instructional video. You got a link to my YouTube, the sessions and the book and all that good stuff. So you scroll past that, whatever. On the bottom, there's these 3 tabs. If you touch the little lifeline there, the waveform, it'll bring you to the box, to the actual device. Okay. So to explain the science behind this really quickly, because I don't want to just show you it. I want to at least explain. I found spirit boxes, radio spirit boxes, we'll just say, they're scanning radio stations at a very quick rate. We're asking for spirit to come through them. And so some paranormal people, some people that have been doing this think that, or have told me that they think that the spirit is taking a word from the broadcast and plucking it at the right time and using it maybe, I don't know. That's what they've said, something to that effect. I have found through my own research and my own experimentation that it's not them doing, or that's not what they're doing. What they're doing is they're taking the bits and pieces of audio and forming their own responses with it. So they're manipulating audio. And if that's the case, then we don't really need the radio then. Okay. The problem with the radio and other apps is that they're using either sound banks or internet radio stations or whatever it is. And there's forward speaking words in there. So you're going to get a lot of false positives. Doesn't mean spirit can't use it. They will. We all know if we've done sessions with boxes, and they can use it, but you're going to get a lot of false positives. And people will think that sometimes something is said and it's not a spirit. So that I didn't want to do. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm tired of the false positives. So what I did was I took human speech, because you need human speech, and I reversed it and I chopped it up I slowed it down and I chopped it up.
I noticed this, and I did watch the video, and I noticed that it's kind of backwards. And I'm not going to lie, it sounds a little like the Swedish Chef. Like we're going to talk about a little bit of that's going on, but
yeah, sure.
But if you throw a little reverb on that.
Which is important, right? You need the reverb. So
which is one of the settings in the app,
right?
And it starts to kind of make sense. And I did a couple of short sessions before the show, and it did get like legitimate things. And when I turned the reverb off, and I could hear the dishkadoo and then the reverse of stuff, it sounded very Nordic in some way or another because it's backwards,
right?
I was like, okay, well, where is that? And then I turned it up, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this pareidolia? What's going on?
No, yeah.
I heard clear words, and it references to the room I was in and things of that nature. And I was like, wow, this thing has something to it, and we like that. We like apps. We don't use them a wicked lot.
Right.
And we're from New England, as you from Connecticut. We say wicked.
Yeah.
But we're kind of always looking for the next thing, and this is such a cool tool that I want to bring it out with us and use it.
I mean, it's a definite amazing tool, because I'm not the only. I'm using it and I'm getting the best results, right? And then people are downloading it and then they're sending me their clips, and they're going, "Listen to what I got. This is amazing." And they're hearing it, and I listen, and then I hear it. So I could do a whole video on just other people's clips. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how amazing it is. Awesome, Kimberly. That's great. So that's it. And so what I've done was, what I found is this. I also I started doing something about 6 years ago called the H.O.P.E voice signature method. And I think you mentioned it because, someone else has kind of experimented with it and played around with it. And they got caught having false positives in their replies, which could have been, some are accusing, some accuse the person of maybe faking it and laying in those responses or whatever. I don't know.
We know there are charlatans out there.
And we know that there are.
Not in any way, shape, or form. And our audience wasn't when I put up that comment that's a charlatan, just so you know. It was when we were talking negatively about some other people, not you.
No. And I understand. I'm just saying that there was that can happen. No, right. And I'm just saying that can happen if we're not thorough and careful. We have to be objective and we have to be careful. We're going to get false positives when we're doing these kinds of things, because that's what scientists, experimentators, that's what's going to happen. We're going to make mistakes or get things that are not real phenomena. That's not the entity, the spirit, the soul, whatever. But we got to be as honest as possible. And so what I've done is I found with the H.O.P.E voice signature method, I can take someone's actual voice that has been deceased, and if we want to reach out to them, we can take their voice and I can reverse it. I can slow it down to about 50%, and then I can chop it up into 2-second increments and rearrange randomly. So you literally have this gibberish track of just sound of that person's voice. That does not mean that they are definitely going to come through. But what I would use is use that as a sound source, and I would pipe that through my box with the reverb. The reverb takes these short waves of sound and makes them elongated. And when they're elongated now, that's when spirit can manipulate that. And so what's going to happen now is that I have to focus intuitively. In order for this to work, I have to intuitively, psychically connect to that person. When I connect to that person and I feel I've got a decent connection, I got something going, then I can turn on my app. Then I can turn on my box. Then I can use the equipment. And that will create a really strong connection and really strong evidence. So what I'm saying is, how does that pertain to this app? Well, this is why. Let's say we want to talk to our grandmother. Okay, we want to talk to grandma. Okay, we want to spend a few minutes relaxing. We want to light a candle, maybe even put a picture. You have a picture of grandma. You can get her, get a picture pulled up
I'm
of
liking
her.
this. Yeah, this is,
You're focusing.
Alley,
You're setting the intention. You're focusing. Now, grandma can hear you if you start talking to her. If you spend a couple minutes to focus on her, she can hear you. Just you can't hear her maybe, but she can hear you. Okay, so you want to say, Grandma Jane, I'm asking for you to come through and all of this, and I'd love to connect with you. I miss you very much. You see her picture. You put that vision in your mind, and you really kind of focus on that for a minute. After you feel like you got it going, you go to the app, and you'll go to the select a bank. And so let me see if I can do this. This StreamYard always screws me up because it's like reversed.
It is reversed. I know.
So it kills me. Okay, so there's different voice tracks here. You got female, you got mixed gender, you got male, middle-aged female. Okay. So older female, we'll pick older female 2. So you pick your bank. Okay. Now the reverb is already on. You can turn it off if you want to hear the raw sound or to run it through like a box of your own with your own reverb. Mm-hmm. But this is fine. Don't ever touch the reverb. It's fine. You get the button, you can turn it off. But anyway, so you got that. You got a record button down here. So you would click record and you would ask your question. You say, okay, hey, grandma, I'm seeing you. Are you really here? And you're going to open this gate. So after you ask your question, you open this gate and then close it.
And it's a noise gate because it's probably repeating a lot of these words, right?
It's jumping around. It's not repeating anything. It's just taking this track that's all gibberish. It's taking the track that's all gibberish, and it's just randomly playing different sections of that track. And it's just mixing. So it's constant different variations of these sounds that the spirit can now take and form their own response just in that short little window. So
I was surprised at how well the reverb worked. Now, I'm not a big fan of reverb on like the Wonderbox and those kind of things that people market. But I did like it in this app for some reason.
Yeah, you did.
If you turn it all the way down, you start to hear the Swedish Chef. But
you can adjust the reverb. You can go to 75 or something if you want.
Wait a minute. I just heard a word. I just heard, and it was relevant. And that's what got me. I was like, wow, there is something to this.
A lot of times people make a mistake, though, and they open this gate for too long. If they open the gate for too long, you're going to have too much sound coming through, and it sounds like there's too much gibberish. There might be a response in there, but it's going to be surrounded by other gibberish when they don't use it. So the thing is that you want to tell them, keep your responses short, 2 to 3 words. And when you ask that question, you hit record, you ask the question, and then you open the gate for literally this long.
Let me ask you this about the noise gate, right? I play guitar. I'm familiar with noise gates as keeping off string sounds, and the sound has to be loud enough to pass the gate, right? And does your noise gate work the same way? So in some way, spirit has to make it louder for those words to come through as you adjust the gate.
No, the gate, the sound is constantly running in the background. Once you choose the bank, the sound is just running in the background. The gate is going to open it up, but there's something on the other side for them, or there's something that makes it easier for them, that they know that in that period, that 1 to 2 second period, there's going to be a certain amount of sound that will come out on the other side to them, I guess, because it's not just constantly for them where, they fit. I mean, some of their responses are cut off because they might be saying something longer than just that period that I'm opening it. But the fact is they're trying to time it and fit in their response to that window of time that I'm opening that gate. So this is to make this easier, because if anyone knows, when you're reviewing a session you've done with a PSP-7 or something else, you're constantly listening to chatter and and you can't, that's really hard. So, we're eliminating that. I'm eliminating that with this app by doing that. And
Right.
now,
And
so you can
people
ask.
will put noise gates in front of spirit boxes, and we've done that as well. And we find sometimes it's like it really has to burst through to make the point.
Right.
Which
So if you're
will
talking
legitimize
about
the communication that you're getting, right? So there's like
correct.
higher volume, therefore it passed the noise gate, which basically is like all
In
right,
that sense, you are correct, because yes, if you had like a let's say an amp or a speaker, okay, and you had your PSB7 tied into that box, you got a reverb pedal on there, maybe whatever that is, okay. If you've got a noise gate and you slowly tune that down, you will start to tune out some of the white noise, some of the other chatter. And like you said, when the spirit really has to kind of push something through, and that's the term they say a lot of times, push it through, is they can push through a response that will be louder than the other chatter that's going on. So you are correct. This is a little
the data,
right.
Which
This is a little bit different, I think, but yes, yeah.
I think that's great. Like that shows the difference. I mean, to show, for example, for our audience, like how well apps can work. I've got two real short clips. This is one we did a long time ago, 2, maybe 3 years ago. Kristen's asking who's buried here.
Is it a mausoleum? Yeah.
It says my name, Chris Carr.
Who's buried in here? What are your names?
Right.
Now, see, I would take that, and that's because that sounded really good. I would take that and just slow that down to about 70%, and I would really hear it really well.
That's the untouched version,
right?
That's the untouched version. But we have,
right.
Who's buried in here? What are your names?
You can hear it.
Yeah.
And this one is kind of humorous. I'll just play this because I know from my own experience that people can be skeptical about the apps, and they think, well, all right, well, how does the ghost know how to go into your phone and manipulate the digits and do the programming? And I remember feeling exactly that way. And then
I still do
through experience and through a gentleman named Jack Kenna, he told me a long time ago when I first started doing this stuff, he says, anything can work. And he likes an app I thought was kind of silly, but he got great results with it. So it was like his connection to the app, to spirit, that seemed to work. So if you like the app,
that's
this is a very likable app.
Yeah.
You can connect to spirit. It's one
when I get excited about a piece of equipment or about an app, I mean, it will work very well, and then it'll start to kind of wane over time if I kind of start to not use it as much or whatever, and then I go back to it, it doesn't work as well. So there's a connection you have to create.
Yes.
There's like I said, the pro version's coming out, and that will be a paid version, a very modest paid version, and priced version, and it's going to have everything in it. This thing, you can upload your own banks that the program will turn into gibberish for you. So if you want to ask for someone, a loved one, you can upload your own bank. You're going to be able to review your sessions within the suite, slow it down. You can caption it and then export clips from this program.
That's
going,
the record button right there.
It's going to have a quick review, so you can review it very quickly right after recording. So that's a big thing because we don't hear them in real time a lot of times.
Right.
So when in not the phone app as much, but all that stuff is there. But with the pro version, you're going to be able to just record something and click playback right away and go, okay, yes, I hear you. You just said this, and then you can. It's going to have a radio box built within it. So it's going to actually have an internet radio box that's going to be separate than this type of program. So it's going to be this all-in-one tool. Yeah, I'm really excited.
Cool. Yeah, Linda, you had asked how long have I played with the app? Honestly, I just started using it today. I haven't spent a lot of time with it, but everything looks good. And the point I was trying to make is that apps can work because we've had them work. Kristen and I have had good success with applications, which was something I was a little bit hesitant about to begin with. And then I was kind of sold on it based on some of our answers.
Because like you said,
relevant things,
But like you said, you have to be attached to, Scott Horn also brought that up. Like you have to intentions and attachment, to your
It doesn't matter what you're
electronics. So.
using. They
Right.
will try to speak through whatever you've got. And I
Well,
mentioned
yeah,
Jeff
no,
earlier. You mentioned like dowsing rods. Like, hey, you can use dowsing rods.
all of
How
that's
simple is
part of
that?
ITC.
It does work.
Tarot cards
Templates
are
work.
just another extension of it. I mean, runes and all kinds
Ouija
of other
boards.
things. Ouija board, people
Yeah.
freak out, and I get it. I understand. But the fact is that it's really no
we're
different
on the side of
than
the
what
cardboard, but it's your connection.
than what we're using. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
no different than what we're using. And it's really just an amazing thing. There was something else I wanted to say, and I kind of lost my train of
I'm
thought for a
sorry, I
second.
probably derailed you.
No,
This is rambling.
no, you're
One more
good.
clip, and this was kind of a funny one. This was we were in a Quaker cemetery. The Quakers, I don't know if you know, but in New England, they were treated basically as witches.
Mhm.
Many were arrested coming off the boats to come here, and we talk a lot about them because I find them fascinating. The only difference between them and the Puritans was there wasn't a middleman.
There was no pastor or a priest
We
or
were
anything.
in a
Right.
particular Quaker cemetery when Kristen asked this question.
Are you Quakers?
What are they saying?
Oh,
Said, fuck you.
Oh, play that again.
Yeah, sure.
Are you Quakers?
we slowed it down and everything, and it really does say.
Yeah. No, you
F
can
you.
hear it. That's why I'm see both of those were very good. But I see a lot of other channels that I think are really good in what they're posting, but a lot of them don't slow down the responses, and it's hard for us sometimes to hear those. So I
Yes.
do say to people, try to slow them down a little bit if you can, because or play it regular and then play it slow right after, which I'm sure you guys have done already. But
We
I'm
do,
saying,
yeah.
So, but it's like and I tell people, I'm like, you guys are capturing good replies here, and so just try to slow them down, and that makes it easier for us to hear. But it takes time to record and then listen and hear these things it takes time to kind of get a little bit of a spirit here. But this is what's interesting. People have said, like, they've watched some of my videos and they mostly hear what I'm tagging, but again, my captions I can't claim are 100% accurate. I mess up captions, as far as what I think is being said.
Mhm.
I have a good experience of doing this, but I still make mistakes. I don't claim that I don't. And so people will say, well, I'm not hearing that, or I'm not hearing this. And I'll say, that's okay. That's okay. But what I have found is that a lot of times the information that I'm hearing them say, the answer that I hear them giving, is an accurate answer to the question.
Right.
And I'll give you an example. I had a friend that had cancer. She was a really amazing follower. And she said, when I pass away, please, reach out to me for my family. And I said, absolutely, I'll do that, And so, a couple of years passed, and her husband contacted me and said, hey, Kimberly passed. And she wanted me to reach out to you. She wanted me to let you know so that you can, reach out to her. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And so I did a session with, asking for her. And she said some amazing things. She said, we are love and light. She said she was okay. I mean, got some really great, clear responses. And I gave it to him, and he was blown away. But he did say, I didn't watch you as much as she did, and I believe in this stuff, but it's hard for me. He says, do you think maybe you can ask her a validating question? And I said, that's a very fair question to ask. I said, no problem. I'll reach back out to her and I'll ask a validating question. What is it you want me to say? And he says, can you ask her what the term muskrat meant to us? A very obscure, just one word that could mean anything. Who knows what the heck that means, right? So I asked for her, and I say, hey, Kimberly, what does the term muskrat mean to you and Chris? And she said, it's in the back of my head. She said, we had to shave my head. And those were the two things that she said. And I tagged those responses. Now, if I played those responses for anyone else, they would hear maybe head, or they may hear they might hear it all, or they might not hear any of it, because it's all kind of in that, it's hard to hear sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sent it to him, and he sent me back a message. He said that was a perfect response. He said her hair would get matted in the back when she was bedridden, and she would get worried that her hair would look bad. And so I would call her my little muskrat, and we would joke and laugh. And eventually we had to shave her head. So she knew exactly what to say, how to validate it, whether people heard those words or not. What I heard and what I captioned was exactly 100% correct. And that's happened hundreds of times.
So
Amazing.
I'll retell like a little bit of story, and we'll talk about pareidolia a little bit, because I think it's fascinating, and I really had a different version of pareidolia at the front of our experiences compared to now. I swear there is something to, the in between words, and like what you hear with your ears is not necessarily need to be that scientific. Like if you heard the word, it's not to say everything is true, and you can certainly play back data and hear it different ways. Now we have lots of examples of that, but
What,
I
the
feel like
Laurel
the
and
message
Yanni?
was sent.
Yeah.
If you got that impression, we've had examples where we heard things that didn't show up on the recorder, but we both heard them loud and clear, like literally screaming at us. Was not on a digital recorder that was recording everything in the room, right? So like, how does that work? You know what I mean? Like,
I think I've always said this, and I have a good friend that
get
always
into word by word. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of freedom. I do feel like
I agree.
the applications and the spirit boxes it's like giving a painter's palette.
I've said that many times. The paint to the
and-
palette. You're giving them paint and let them
there you
paint the picture with it. It's a raw materials, medium. They're going to use it. And I've always said, after I heard my good friend say it, so I can't claim the saying but this is one of the guys, John Zapp over at War Party Paranormal. He always, used to say that, we are our own best pieces of paranormal equipment. And I totally agree with that. We are the first piece of equipment.
Right.
And then all the other things, the spirit boxes and all the other stuff, those are extensions to this piece of equipment. So they're going to interact with us. If you watch, I'm going to show you a clip. Let me show you this clip. Can I go to a share on this?
Yeah, let me put it up on the screen.
I'm going to show you something. Now, I understand people in the paranormal have a problem with orbs and things, and I do have a problem when someone takes their phone and puts on the flash and then ruffles up the bed and then films this wave of dust coming flying by. I totally understand that. I get that. Can I? Oh, so you can pick it, or do I have to pick it? Can I pick it, or you pick it?
You have to use the same tab that I'm showing, I think. So that the TikTok tab that
edit shared screen name. I did that already. Hold on.
That should work. Or you can maybe do a new one. I can remove this one.
Okay. Hold on. Share screen.
Present.
Okay, hold on. Chrome tab. There we go. Okay. So this is my TikTok. Anyone can come check out all these clips on my TikTok. I do have a lot of well-known people. I've got a lot of amazing connections. I'm going to show you something that is really cool. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down, and as I scroll, you can see a lot of the people and regular people I asked for. And this was this guy Raul was a patron of mine, and then he passed, and I was able to speak to him, and it was just absolutely amazing what he said when he came through. But let me show you a really cool piece of equipment or a clip.
Cool. Let me know when you get there. I can see it in the background.
Okay, here we go.
This is really awesome. This is a piece of visual evidence, and I've been showing you the.
You can make that full screen if you want.
Out of my body, they fly around. It's not dust. It's not bugs. It's not water vapor. Whatever else. It is real light orbs. They come and enter my body before using the box, and then after I've asked them questions, they leave my body. So they're using.
I hope Reggie's watching. He'll love this.
And we have to grow our connection in order for these apps and boxes and things to work. You can see this ball of light near my cabinet, near my bookshelf, and you could see it, and it goes right through something physical. It goes right through the shelf. It goes right through the wall of the cabinet. And it's unmistakable. Dust doesn't do that. Bugs don't go through physical objects.
It does seem to
This
disappear
is-
when it hits gets behind the.
Oh,
This
it's
is
behind
really
it.
awesome.
No,
This
it's
is a piece of
definitely it
Interesting.
it disappears. Let me see. See spirit come.
And then comes through.
So check this out.
Now I'm going to show you how when I'm asking for the loved ones, when I'm asking for the spirit, these orbs are coming in. They're flying into me. They're flying into
Yes,
the
I'm
box.
absolutely right.
Let's take a look. You can see these are coming right into me, into the box. They're moving slow. Some are small, some are large.
I believe it, George.
They're all moving into me. They're coming through portals to communicate with me during these different sessions. Let's take a look at them leaving now. Here you can see them normally leaving my head, also leaving the box. So we'll see these wonderful balls of
just
light
shoots out.
leaving constantly. This is consistent results. Not only
They
am I
both do.
receiving audible responses,
Weird.
but I'm receiving
Weird. They almost leave a
visual
trail like a
evidence.
comet.
They do leave a
Clearly,
trail.
these are not
Yeah.
bugs. It's not dust. This is real scientific proof.
Yep. You got a lot of that going on. A lot of that cool stuff happening. Let's see. What else can I show you here? Got a
Echo
lot
Lake,
of good.
if it tickles. Do you feel anything?
No, I don't. I feel them. I get them in my
Do you
mind.
feel
I
anything
get
with them?
I get them in my mind, but I don't. I mean, I feel them in my mind and the communication there. This is amazing. This right here is a water ITC photo I captured of Miss Beautiful Gabby.
Are you ready to try with me? You ready to try the water?
Right?
Okay. Do you think you're going to be able to try it?
So that's the original. And then I found a video, I found a photo online to place over and try to match up, and it looks like it matches up exactly, which is, but it had to be inverted. So this is it's really amazing, some of the stuff that I've captured, a lot of visual evidence, not just, audible evidence. I'm capturing visual evidence that is really remarkable. So let me see if there's anything else that I can show you. Here it is. This is an alien thing. So I've got a lot of different responses. Hold on. I've got a lot of different responses about. Oh, this is another cool. I want to show you one more after this. This is really amazing that I've had spirits mention ETs and mention spaceships and different things like that. I've captured images that look like it, and in some of the UAP captures that people will capture in the sky look very similar to the orbs that I just showed you.
About a year ago, asking for someone's loved one, I captured this interesting response about aliens.
Is there anything on your end that you'd like to tell him?
Wow.
Just recently,
Oh, shit.
this is some footage that was captured in Miami. That footage reminded me of the type of balls of light, orbs that fly around me when I'm doing my sessions. I've even captured what looks like an alien's face when doing water ITC. These are responses proving there are ETs amongst us, or that they are real.
Are there aliens living among us? I would say yes. That's my guess. And I was just talking to Nikki about this the other day, that I believe that there are. Are there aliens living among us, Fred? Do you know? Have you met other alien races? Have you met any other alien beings?
As I stated, this footage was captured November 12th, 2022 in Miami, about an hour south of me. And you can see them dropping down, multiplying, stopping. Really amazing footage. About a week later, when doing my patron group session, I captured this response.
All right.
Pretty interesting stuff, to say the least. What do you guys think? The sightings are up.
Pretty cool, huh?
That was awesome.
Oh, absolutely cool.
Yeah.
Now check this out. This is cool. I'm going to just keep jumping around here. So I've now captured multiple responses about spirits seeing a castle in the afterlife, and they mention a castle. Okay, so I've had three separate spirits mention this, and this is a clip showing two of those responses.
Oh, let me put it back on.
Sorry, hold on.
No worries. I thought you were done.
Okay, yeah, this is my last one. I'll show you. That's
No
it.
worries. Yeah, take your time. We can play all you want.
That's something you
I
want
love
to
it.
say.
Really cool. I mean, these words are
Check
coming
this out.
backwards.
Hold on. Yeah, no, I know they're coming through
It was
clear.
a little
What do you have
reverb.
to say about that, Whitney? What do you think about what she's saying there?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
There's the intention. Now there's the natural.
Yeah.
Where I thought it was done.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Castle.
Where our minds can kind of they try to make sense of things, right? And we've used some examples on the show where words can sound alike, and if I tell you what it's going to say, it seems to say it, right? And if I tell you something different, it'll also seem to say it. It's kind of like the Yanni Laurel thing.
Yeah, but the problem with the Lonnie Yorl Lonnie, whatever it was, I forgot. But or Green Needle, whatever one, they got that one too. Is that all of that is sound pareidolia to some degree. The problem is that I'm extracting most from every session I'm doing real information from those sessions, from those pareidolia sounds. You know what I'm saying? And so, yes, I can put up the captions and, people can close their eyes and kind of see if they can hear it first on their own and then open their eyes and read what I've put, But again, I mean, I've done so many of these now, hundreds and hundreds of box sessions where, someone is asking detailed questions in these sessions. They're saying, what happened to this? Or what do you want to say to this loved one? Or what do you, and I'm captioning these things, and most of them are very clear. For the most part, it's 2-3 words, and it's kind of, I am here, I'm with you, or something simple. But a lot of times they're answering questions in a way that is accurate to the answer of what that person would say, or giving sometimes very detailed information. So, it's still something to keep exploring. And is it foolproof? Is it foolproof as far as, is it like an obelisk that just spits out a speak and spell type word that's so simple? I mean, that's
I
what
kind of
this
like that. It's not like an ovulus, and it is the words backwards in a way, because you're going to get the impression, right? And the ovulus, a lot of times the word is just kind of, it's vague.
random.
There's a lot of vagary.
Right. I mean,
That was your kitten, not mine.
that was my kitten. Hold on, guys.
You're a
Hold on.
ghost.
You okay, sweetie?
No worries. But I hope you guys are appreciating this and getting, all the details here, because it's super interesting. Way to present data, and it's free for one thing, which everybody likes free.
Can't argue with that.
Download the app.
I
It's not gonna hurt you. It doesn't put spyware on your phone. My phone is fine.
Yep.
Please have no reservations about that.
I've had a lot of people send me their clips, and I listen to them, 1 or 2 clips of theirs, and I'll tell them what I think I hear. If they don't hear it, and I'll try to show them that, they're getting direct responses. It's there for them to try and experiment. You got to be serious, take it serious, give it some patience and time.
The ritual you mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you talked about at the front of your session was basically ritual. So there is ritual with necromancy, right? It's on my shirt.
Right.
Which is basically what we are doing, right? We're asking the deceased to speak to us. It is necromancy.
As far as I've always understood necromancy to be more of based on, I guess, the term in the Bible. When I looked at the term in the Bible and what they meant by that, that was someone that was like conjuring spirit, pulling them in. They even talked about reanimating dead flesh, right? Okay.
That's called corporeal necromancy.
Gotcha.
Right? So necromancy in general is just basically asking spirit to do something for you. If you're asking spirit to come through a spirit box, an application, or whatever it is, it's essentially necromancy, which is why I wear the shirt. And Kristen,
gotcha. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense that, because I've had people
that way.
I've had people try to throw the biblical stuff at me, and I say, listen, I talk about it in my book. I talk about the books that were left out. I talk about the certain things that were changed. I mean, I still love the Bible, and I love the red, and I love the different.
Mean any disrespect, but
yeah, I mean, right, but I mean, there's some things that, I mean, the term medium ends up in the Bible, and yet that term was never invented until the mid 1800s. So how is that even a term that really should be being used in the Bible, right. So it's like, but yeah, I mean, the fact is so many people are really blocked by, the religious belief. And I, I believe in Jesus Christ, man. Like, I love Jesus. Like, he's my main man. Like, so that's for me, but, and I don't push that on anyone, but the fact is that, I'm very blessed and supported in the work that I do. I know a lot of help is being given to people that have a lot of grief, and they're being able to, connect with their loved ones in a very special way, and they're being able to move on from grief, and I think it's very helpful.
I think that's wonderful. And grief is really terrible, no matter what you think and what your outlook is, whether you believe in an afterlife, which I think is a real driving factor for a lot of us to get involved in this stuff to begin with, right? We probably lost a loved one. Like, that stuff happens. And I need to ask this question because I ask everybody, did you have any childhood experiences that were paranormal?
Not really. I was a very sensitive kid, but I was just, I found myself alone. I mean, I was alone with a lot of friends too, but I mean, I found myself a lot of times going and riding my bike to the church and just sitting in a pew by myself, empty church, and staring at the crucifix and staring at Christ. And so early on, I felt this connection to him, and I didn't understand that. And I'll tell you this really crazy story really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my story is pretty wild. I have a pretty wild story. Prior to 2013, the last 10 years of my life has been an amazing, mind-blowing experience. But prior to that was like a whole nother life of craziness. And I talk about it all in my book. I disclose everything. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I had a very troubled past.
It seemed like you had a rebirth. Yeah. Total
rebirth. Like at 33, it was like a very special age. I had this amazing, I was about 18 years old. I was down and out. I was at the bottom of my addiction, and I had burned all my bridges, and I was in a lot of emotional pain, and I wanted to confess my sins to a person. I wanted to, I was praying to God, whatever God that I had a misunderstanding of, I was praying to him.
Sure.
And I was kind of admitting my own faults. I was finally being honest with myself about my addiction and what I had done, but I wanted to air this with someone, and I didn't know where to go, and I didn't have anyone. And so I was driving in my car around 2 a.m, and I saw a different church, and I pulled into the church. Of course, there was a rectory where the priests sleep, and then the church, and everything was closed. It's 2 a.m, and the only thing that was open was this little grotto area where you could light candles. And, there was a statue of the Blessed Mother and Jesus and a couple of pews. And so I went in there, and I was bawling and, snot and tears and all that stuff. And I light a candle, and I kneel, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm praying. And I kept asking, I said, God, please. I kept looking over at the rectory, and I kept praying. I said, let there be someone that I can talk to. I just want to talk and confess my sins. And I swear, out of literally not even a minute later, this little old lady came into the grotto holding a little dog. There was no car that pulled up. She just walked up into the grotto and she lit a candle and then she kneeled down next to me. And the only second little kneeler that was next to me. And she put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Would you like to confess your sins to me?" Now, I thought I was crying hard at the time, but I even started crying even harder at that point. And I didn't know what to make of it. And I said yes. And she pulled out this little black book and she opened it up and she said, kind of like the priest would say, it was like, and I said, "Bless me, it has been this long." I was raised Catholic, so I was kind of going off of what I had known as a kid. I'm not so much Catholic anymore. I'm just Christian. I believe in Jesus and not even Christian. I'm just like the real Jesus,
really.
the real Jesus, like the real.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
But
You're making connection,
yeah,
one way or another.
yeah, and it doesn't have to be in a church or with a priest or anything like that. Correct. And so I was, and she did the thing, and I said my sins, and then she gave me this penance. Like she said, "Okay, say this many prayers or whatever." But she then goes to take this scapular, which is like something you get. It's like a cloth with a little picture of the Blessed Mother on it. And you get that at your first Holy Communion. She said, "This was my father's on his deathbed, and he wore it every day, and I'm giving it to you."
It gives it
And
to you.
I said the same thing. I said, "Here, I'm not taking that. There's no way I can accept anything like that." She said, "No, God wants you to have it. He wants you to have this gift."
She felt this.
And she said,
Yeah.
and she gave it to me, and I held it, and I cried, and then she got up, and as quick as she was there, she was gone. And when she bent the corner out of the grotto, I waited like maybe a few seconds. I'm talking not that long. And I was in disbelief, and I got up to look, and there was no one there. Now, I'm not saying that she was not real. I'm also not saying that she's not real. I'm saying that she was real. Okay.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is this: there's no way in anywhere that I could want something so bad like that, need something so bad like that kind of contact, that kind of companionship, that compassion, and that it would just coincidentally at 2 in the morning show up. So what that showed me is that God used one of his other children that was tuned into him at the time to walk down to the church, because they didn't even know why, that there was someone there, and that he spoke to her heart that he needed help. My other child needs help, and I need him to know that I'm listening to him. That is what was important, and that never left me. That was my first spiritual experience that to this day I know, and I've had many since then, many beautiful moments like that I'm very blessed for having. I mean, I'm very, very grateful. But that was a very impactful moment. I still have the scapular. I put it in my book, the whole story, and I talk about it, but there's some really powerful moments. And I had many fall downs after that. But yeah.
Let's talk about the book a little bit.
Sure.
You do have a book, and it is available. Where can we find the book?
Oh, it's on Amazon.
It's on the Afterlife.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, and it's on it's Barnes and Noble. I'm trying to get it so the glare isn't there. But anyway, Finding Hope in the Afterlife. Yeah, Finding Hope in the Afterlife. This is a really amazing book that it wasn't just me that wrote this. I mean, yes, I'm the only name on the book because I am the physical person that wrote this, but there really was a spirit team that worked with me that wrote this book. And it is quite remarkable on the fact that they worked on it and they put so much amazing work. The guides, my divine help, Jesus. I mean, I really believe that. Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda, my guru. And so when you're going through the book, this is really cool. So like the first few chapters are my story and how I got into it, all the trouble I got into. So I go into the nitty gritty of all that stuff. I talk about all of it. But then I get into like the research, and as far as my research, only my research, and I cite a lot of other references and other research, legitimate sources. But what's cool is that I talk about something really amazing that happened, and then you'll see a footnote, and you go down to the bottom of the page, and there's a number for a video, and there's a book, and there's a playlist on my channel that corresponds to this book. So when you see a number at the bottom of the page, it's a footnote, that will be the video for what I just talked about in the book. And so you can actually watch it actually happen in the video.
Oh,
And
that's
so,
awesome.
yeah, it's really cool. Not to mention there's pictures. There's a bunch of pictures of evidence and stuff. There's some really amazing things in here. And so, it's a real experience. It's not just like a book that you read and that's it. I mean, you're reading. I mean, a lot of people, I did ask them how they did that, and they were like, I couldn't put it down, so I just kept reading. But I went back after and I watched the videos. But I always want people to stop the reading for a moment and go watch the video. But however you read the book is on you. But it's there for you for that purpose,
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I think the lines you're drawing between like what some people might call pareidolia and some people would call data, right? There does seem to be this sort of cloudy line.
Sure.
You can look up at the clouds. You can say, okay, maybe I see a dragon up there. Maybe I don't.
Or the trees.
Right.
I love you, man.
We talk about offline. And if it means something to you, then there might be some legitimacy to that. And when you show it to other people and it looks like the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, I
that's crazy. That's pareidolia. A lot of people would say immediately, but that is kind of going along the lines of divination, right? So if you're trying to, I don't know, predict the future, talk to spirit, things of that nature, you might want to take these hints like a little bit more literally than they might appear to other people. Does that hold true in your world?
I mean, listen, I definitely believe that. I mean, I think that there are times that a response is not very clear, not very, definitive, discernible enough that it could be considered data. But I think that I'm hearing something with it, and whatever. But then there's a lot of definitive stuff. You mentioned the clouds, and I have a lot of other weird photos that I show people. But this is an interesting photo right here. If you look at
Is that you got it?
It drives me nuts. Okay,
it does.
I can't do this. This is like, I mean, I am.
Is that a cloud?
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Hold on.
That's okay.
You can describe what's
totally understand.
No, I can't describe it because I need you to see it. So I'm holding my DR60 recorder and I'm in the cemetery and I'm mentioning Christ.
Whoa.
And as I mention Christ, there's a cross that forms in the clouds. Like there's this weird cross that's in the clouds. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, there's that's not a shape that normally forms in the clouds. And I was talking about Christ. Here is an image in water that I took. We were asking, and it looks like a baby swaddled in, it looks like a baby photo.
Yeah, it is a little tough with the picture, but
it's hard to show you. But anyway,
no worry about it. No, we do this stuff all the time. All the time. It is our bag. We love this. This is our passion. So I get you. You're showing
no, I know. No, there's a lot of that stuff on my website.
At maybe two different ways, right? And you're looking at it and you're like, look, there's a cross there. And if you see the cross, well, maybe that means something. That's exactly what I was saying leading up to you showing us those pages. I do think it's important. I do think it's the painter's palette. Whether it's audio, it's white noise, it's something, some kind of, passing tone of a vowel. It can be articulated differently to your ears. It doesn't even have to exist. We've been shown that it can just be told something from spirit, like quite
intuitively,
loudly. And it's not there on the recorders. So yeah, spirit, if it wants to communicate, it will absolutely communicate. And I think you're offering a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
This is
absolutely
really cool. I love that everything's backwards, kind of. Is every word bank backwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's just reverse chopped up speech. So you're not even, some people have take the
reverb off. It just sounds like the Swedish Chef. Right.
Right.
And
right.
But you throw a little reverb on it, you get into the mode.
It mixes the paint.
Do a little bit of ritual. Like you try to focus your intent, right? So we were talking about the intuition side of what you do. Which I want to pass along to everybody we can, because I totally agree with you. We agree with you. That's what we do too. We try to tune into spirit there is a little bit of ritual involved sometimes, and it doesn't mean it's a black magic ritual.
No, not at all.
Matter of thinking about a person or something like
A
that.
loved one,
There's something
right.
to it, a loved one,
Right.
whatever we're trying to communicate. There's some little process to it where we take the time to think about them
Yeah.
before we start the
You
box.
have to. For me, I have to, and that's why every reading that someone books with me, every box session someone books with me, every group session that someone participates in, they must do my 15-minute focused meditation. If they don't do that, and I ask them, and they say they didn't get a chance to do it, then I don't want them to be a part of that session, or I'll postpone it if it's a private session. So that's what. That's what I do. That's what I do.
Yeah,
This
it makes
is
a lot of
fraggle.
sense. I feel exactly where you're coming from, where there's a spiritual side, and it doesn't matter what your higher power is, just
Right.
having one does seem to make a difference, right? And setting that
Yep.
intention with your higher power connects you further through, your spirit box, through your application,
Absolutely.
whatever it is you're using, they can all work. It's your bond with the spirit.
That's correct. I tell people, I'm like, you're the one that you have the bond to your mom, dad, or whoever. I don't. You have the connection. I can help bring them through. I have a good ear. I have this. I have this experience, but it really requires the person, and it's their role,
Right.
their responsibility to be prepared. So when I do this, and I take it very seriously. So like some people are kind of like, maybe they're like, they think that I take it too seriously, but I'm like, no, I mean, if you've got someone on the other side that's going to try and spend energy on their light, their energy to come through, then they deserve the best opportunity that they can get. I mean, why, I want to give that to them. So that's what I do. I try to.
I think that's a valid cause, and I know we feel the same way. We're always trying to listen to spirit. We don't always know what to do with it. Do you do any kind of crossing over? Do you do any of that kind of work?
I mean, that's the whole point of why I do. That's why I started. So, I mean, that's why my name is Hope. Hope is an acronym for Helpers of Paranormal Entities, and that's how it started. And that was an acronym. So that's what I've been doing for the beginning, because the beginning, before I even got my ability, the responses, the EVPs I got were help me. I need the light, want light. So, that got me thinking, well, if someone is still looking for help, then I need to tune into my higher power, Jesus Christ, and I need to ask him if there's anything that I can do to help. And that could be praying for them. That could be envisioning light for them. Sometimes just talking to them and telling them that they need to forgive themselves, that God doesn't need to forgive them. They need to forgive themselves. And so that was the biggest hang up that I was getting from people, from souls on the other side. Over time, the acronym HOPE, Helpers of Paranormal Entities, has kind of evolved now into helping other people evolve. That's really now what my acronym is now, helping other people evolve. And it's through this work, through the book, through the app, through the events, through the channel, through the sessions, So that's really what I love and what I keep kind of shooting for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
I think
Thank
that's
you.
wonderful.
You're welcome.
Reggie,
Yeah,
who's an
this is
ITC
baffling.
magnet, says during the show, I downloaded the app, and the first thing that was said through the app was, "Are you Quaker?" Which was the
clip
we played for you a little earlier.
No crap.
Then he goes on
That's
to
what I
say,
said.
one of my daughter's middle name is Hope. So,
Very cool. That's a great name. That's a big time name. Like without hope, we've got nothing. We need to have hope. Like, you know what I'm saying? We really do. Where there's light, there's hope. And that's using respect to raise your own frequency helps
raise your own
you.
frequency.
Absolutely.
What does it mean to you to raise your vibration?
Well, first I have to raise my consciousness within my body. A lot of times our souls kind of sit in the middle section near the heart, or down even lower in the solar plexus. I know that sounds kind of kooky, crazy, but You know,
Not
we've got
really.
this.
Are we
got
talking
the-
about chakras?
Yeah,
Or-
well, we got the 7,
chakras?
you know, cerebral spinal, centers, and so, you know, if you're down in the lower sacral areas, you know, I mean, you can kind of be more in a fearful spot or more in a kind of a carnal spot, you know, and as we raise up and we bring ourselves through and up higher, you know, and again, you know, the spirit highway is the spine, you know, it really is. And so we want to kind of ride the highway up the spinal cord, bring our consciousness up into, and you'll see me in my sessions where I'm getting ready to connect, and you'll see me going like this, and I'm tapping my third eye, and that's trying to raise my consciousness, my vibration, in a sense, trying to raise where I'm bringing myself up into the seat of the soul, really where it's supposed to be, in, you know, the fontanelle and in the crown, and you know, we have the third eye, you know, and then we've got the medulla oblongata right here in the back behind.
Yeah.
And that's where we receive a lot of light from God. We connect with spirit that way. So we want to try to bring ourselves up into that space to connect. And so I have people in my meditation envision kind of taking an elevator up the spine, and then getting the elevator doors open, and you're inside of a dome-shaped room, which is, you're behind your forehead. And I tell people, envision your forehead, that you're behind it, and you see this beautiful, like, you know, maybe tile floor or carpet floor, whatever you want. Put a chair in the middle of your head, and I want your astral body, which looks like your body, but of light in a sense, and I want you to sit in your chair, and I want you to face your forehead, and I want you to envision a third eye window, like a window that's there. And I have them do this, and then I say, okay, now get up out of your chair in the space and walk over to the window, and there should be a latch, and you can unlatch the window and you can push it open. And when you do that, on the other side of that window is the astral realm, and you may see space, you may see a desert, you may see whatever it is for you. That's fine. And there's going to be a platform that you could step out to right out the window. You can kind of crawl out the window and stand on this platform right outside your forehead. And I have them envision that there's a like a platform that extends to our floating room. And I have them walk across that platform into the room where there's a table and chairs, and that's where they meet the spirit. And that's where I have them meet the spirit. And when they do that, and they get to that point, and then their loved one comes in the other door, and they sit down in those two chairs, that's when we're ready to do the session. And that works exceptionally well.
That actually sounds
Amazing.
great.
Yeah.
Again, there's a ritual to taking yourself down to that level, and we totally agree with you. That is how it works.
Yeah.
There are different ways to get there, but the point is to make time to take down your heartbeat, take down everything, to visualize
Yes.
being with that person, maybe even remembering things, fragrances that they wore.
Absolutely. A song that they liked, a fragrance, you know, remembering. They tell me a lot of times in the sessions, have them remember a memory of me, a good memory, one that we were laughing, something like that, a loving memory. That's going to really draw them in. That's you know, these are the connectors. That's how you connect.
Right. It's almost like you said, it's down in the brain. There's some part of it that reaches out, and it makes sense. You know, where the rest of us are logical and everything's going, no, you can't do that. And
Right.
Yeah.
Take it down. You know, do the ritual.
Yeah, I mean, I've done now 3 or 2. Well, I've done 3 events, and now this will be my third private event. But I've got an event coming up in Savannah, Georgia, February 10th through the 12th, and it's an all-weekend event where on the first night I take you through an investigation. The second night I teach you in a presentation and workshop how, you know, I talk about some of the work and I show the examples, and then I take people through this process that I'm talking about, like in person, where I walk them through this meditation. We set the intention, and then they start taking photos in water ITC. They start using the HSB themselves, and I can help them. I work that. Then on the third night, and it's all done at this beautiful hotel in the downtown area where I go, and so there'll be Savannah, and then I do a gallery group session where I reach out to each of their loved ones for them through my box and my equipment. And it's a really special, and it's a really
It's
great
nice.
thing to come and be a part of, because, you know, you get to see it live in action, and you know, yeah, it's really cool. I love doing that more with people in person. I don't get as much to do it as I want, but you know, I'm going to trying to keep doing that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Our friend
Beautiful.
Kimberly Horn says, yes, I know that, but I'm curious as to what it means for him to reach a higher vibrational plane. It's a very personal question, I guess.
Well, okay. So, I mean, this is what I can say to that. I practice Kriya Yoga. I practice a type of meditation that is one of the highest forms of meditation. It's very difficult and it's not easy. And I've been doing it for 3 years, and so it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy, but it's for me very, very well worth it. And so by doing this type of meditation, and it's about an hour or more a day that I do that, sometimes twice, and this is going to help me ascend. This is going to help me ascend where I don't have to wait to die to ascend. So it's really that heaven is like a state of mind. You know, they've said before, heaven and hell are between our 2 ears. And so we can actually ascend to a heavenly realm almost now before we die, so that when we actually pass, it's almost like we're right there. We don't have to really make this ascension in a sense. And so I firmly believe that. My guru teaches that. And I can say that, you know, when we're living in an ungrateful state of mind, we're feeling sorry for ourselves, victimized, all these other things. And it's all normal normal human emotion that will bring us our vibrational frequency down. And when we are grateful, when we are remembering our higher power, when we're working with others to the best of our ability in an altruistic way, this is bringing us up to a higher vibrational a frequency. And so through prayer and meditation and conscious contact with our higher power, you know, it's going to keep us ascended. Yeah, that's
grateful is kind of a skill. And it's something that people don't practice enough. I so agree with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm in 12-step recovery. I've been 18 years, you know, without a drink and drug. And I have, you know, when I get a little ungrateful, some of the things that are suggested to people that are normally in recovery or whatever is to make a gratitude list. And that's a very helpful thing, because it's hard to get through that list and remain ungrateful when you get to the bottom of it, when you get through it. So as you're making the list and you're listing the things that you're grateful for, even if you're in a crappy mood, you can really start to shift that mood by listing all the things that you're grateful for.
It's a good idea to be grateful for everything, like your meals, you know, the company.
You list those things, and you can list those things, but it's hard to get there sometimes.
Think about it, at least once in a while.
Yeah.
And not take it for granted.
Right.
Let's see. Lots of questions out here. It comes back to me. Angela says, some say my blood type has a lot to do with it. I have the rarest blood type in the world, which I maybe she's referring to RH negative.
No, it's the gold, I believe. I'm AB negative. I'm the second blood type, so I'm trying to think of what the first one is. But yeah, they call it golden blood.
Is that what you mean, Angela?
Gold blood.
Yeah.
Let's see. I know we are on a personal journey, and we are all on different levels on that path. Thank you for sharing, says Kimberly Horn.
Thank you, Kim.
Reg says, I'm not trying to be funny. However, I've been accused of being high or on something my whole life. No way, Reg. I think I've been in a natural meditation my whole life. And he is just a completely holistic, natural
That's
dude
great. That's
to
great.
attract spirits. And he's awesome at it. So, yeah, Reg, no, we get it. Angela says, golden blood, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this is something I don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know about either. Yeah.
All right, we'll let that go. That's something we're going to have to research. You know a little bit about that, Kristen?
I do, but I forgot the I don't think it's O negative with RH negative. I forgot what it was, but yeah, it's hard too because it's real hard to get. AB negative is the rarest in the golden blood. No, I think there's one more. Yeah,
That's what you said,
there's
yeah.
one more. I have AB negative. It's not the
Okay.
rarest one. There's one more. Yeah.
But it says going into the zone of higher frequency happens in different ways. Recognize when you are doing something that you're focusing on, and all other thoughts are set aside. All right, that's ritual, right? Which we talked about a bit. You are in the zone. Use this technique for yourself to go into spiritual zone. You feel very calm in the zone. Yeah, absolutely. And there is something to the idea of ritual, just taking the time to focus on what you're doing, connect to whatever your higher power might be, even if you don't have one. It seems to make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
If you're going to do these kind of investigations, you're going to go into haunted
I
places.
would definitely
A lot of
not.
our friends, they say prayers to Saint Michael, for example. Greg Koss out there.
Mhm.
Thank you, brother.
Oh, Greg over at Shadow Hunters.
Yes.
Yeah, Greg.
I follow. I watch.
Oh, we love Greg.
No,
Yeah, we
no,
were at
I follow
Great.
Greg, but I'm friends with on Facebook. I can't remember his name now. Nick.
Nick
Yeah.
Sarlo.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I just think he's a good guy. I love when he posts and he's doing stuff, and I've followed him stuff for a while, so that's cool. Yeah, and I see that Greg's
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Greg is doing
Yeah, we were
some,
on his
great
show
stuff.
last night. Yeah.
Oh, were you? Oh,
Yes,
cool.
we do the Estes method. We do like double Estes.
Estes method is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
very nice
dabbling
method.
with that at my last event. It didn't work as well for me, but it's a cool technique that I want to do some more of.
Greg has a show where he has a certain group of guests, and I think it's 4 or 5 that he rotates, and they're always the same people, and we're one of those people, right?
Oh,
Like,
cool.
yeah, it's
Very
nice.
fortunate for that.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
That's
we
great.
appreciate it, Greg. And we're on and we do the Estes method, and we try to connect to maybe the same spirit and see if we're having a conversation, and it does more often than not turn out to be a sort of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And we find that very interesting. We're trying to
I
figure
think
out
so.
why
I
that
think
happens,
so.
you know.
Yep.
And the idea of having regular guests is Greg's idea, and a good one, to see if it builds.
Right. That's kind of what the Skull Experiment did. I mean, they just kept meeting and kept meeting and kept, they set the intention, and after a while the connection just kept growing because there was that the consistency going,
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Mhm.
All right. So what are the best places to find you, to get your app? Which is a free app, guys.
Yeah, the app is for free. Hope Spirit Box app on
There's no
iOS,
reason to
Android.
not download this.
HopeParanormal.com is everything Hope related. So HopeParanormal.com. You can get my the app, the book. You can find my events again. If anyone wants to come to I still have some tickets left for the event coming up in Savannah. So there's information there on the site. So anyone in the area would like to attend, I sell day passes and weekend passes for that. And then, of course, if anyone wants to partake in my group sessions, you can do that on Patreon. And that's all, again, at hopeparanormal.com. And, and then the if anyone's waiting for the pro version of the Hope Spirit Box, which is coming soon, they can subscribe to my mailing list on the website, and they'll get an update when it's time. So, yeah.
Okay, great. Because somebody else had asked that in the comments earlier, when that one was coming out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. That's coming out in about, I would say, by the 1st of February. I'm hoping.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
And your book, you said your book is, sorry, Chris?
It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle. I mean, it's available. Most likely, or the easiest is to get it on Amazon. But I mean, there's other number of different sites that, I don't sell it personally myself. The publisher sells it, and whatever. So, but yeah, Amazon is a really simple place to get it.
You do other things. Yeah, you have a day job. you're running businesses.
Well, I do. I have a hookah bar that I've owned for, it's hookah, smoking hookah, and it's kind of on its way out pretty much. I've had it for 14 years. And so we're kind of like, it's kind of getting there, but so I've been really doing this full time mostly. I mean, this is what I work at full time. So
Excellent.
I'm home and I
That's
work
wonderful.
here. Yeah. It's great.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for being
right.
here
No,
with
thank
us.
you guys for having me. You guys are awesome.
We
You
really
guys
appreciate you, and
you're
love
No,
this.
friend.
I
I want to have further conversations with you. I hope we can
Yes.
do that. This has been great.
yeah.
Your app is awesome.
Thank
It's
you.
really cool.
Yeah.
And if you guys haven't downloaded it yet, I don't know what you're doing. Just go to the store and download
Nothing
it.
to
We had a
lose.
bunch of everybody in the
It's
people in
free.
the audience just downloaded it.
It
Well,
won't
I
break
just
your
recorded
phone.
it.
Just
It's awesome.
remember when you're opening the gate, the second you open it, you want to close it because you don't want too much sound to come through. You want to tell them to use a couple of words, not too long, and that's all you want to do. And don't open it that long. Just
Wonderful.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so
Great
very
comments
much.
out there. Thank you guys. Thank you everybody. And thank
Bye,
you for
guys. Thank you so much.
dealing with our introduction. We love you. Great job, guys. Thanks.